What's going on, everyone? Darkside. I forgot my name. What a flub. Darkside Phil here, and welcome to episode 26 of Ask the King for July 2012. A lot has actually happened since episode 25. It was the 25th anniversary episode last month. So a lot of positive stuff, a lot of negative stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. The questions this month were exceptionally interesting. And I do want to say thank you to everyone who submitted a question. I tried to take a few more questions from Twitter and Facebook this time around, because traditionally I only take a handful. I tried to take some more. A lot of questions to answer. Let's get right into it. But the one thing I want to warn everyone about, I finally got an air conditioner in my bedroom. It's actually one of those standing air conditioners that doesn't go in the window. And so as you can hear a fan going right now. I kind of turned it on, to not go on as much. I'm hoping it doesn't go on during the video, but if it gets hot in here, it'll probably go on, so that's what that noise is. I'm going to try to talk loud so you can understand me. Excuse me. But before I get into the questions, two things that I do want to mention, because they are really, really important, okay? Coming up this weekend, Sunday is a huge day. Sunday, July, what's that, 29th. July 29th is a humongous day. Here's why. Number one, John Rambo will be releasing episode 5 of Schnozman and Hole Punch over on his channel, John Rambo Presents. He put a lot of hard work and effort into this one. Please check it out if you're a fan of the series. If not, if you want to see a cool creative series that John and OJ work on, and I'm really not involved in, but I think is really entertaining, go check that out on Sunday. But the thing I really want to mention, if you haven't seen the video about it already, I want to emphasize it in this video again. Project 7 has a series trailer going up on Machinima Respawn, okay? So that's Machinima Respawn's channel. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday. Now, it's not going to be on the dot. They're uploading videos over the course of the day. That's roughly the time they're trying to get it up. They even told me it's going to be one of the last videos of the day. Their goal is to get it to be one of the last videos of the day, so that way, hopefully, it'll stick on their main page. And it'll be like listed there on the Machinima Respawn page as one of the last things that they've uploaded. So fingers crossed that it gets into that batch. That would be really nice. But the thing is, it's a trailer for the entire series of Project 7. It's 3 minutes long. I've already showed it here on this channel, DSPGaming. And I really need fans of Project 7 to head over there. If you like the series, watch the trailer, rate the trailer, and comment on it. And what we're afraid of, which inevitably we know is going to happen on a Machinima channel, all of these kids who just play Call of Duty and FPS games, they're going to say, what is this? I don't understand it. This sucks. We want fucking quick scoping montages, yada, yada, yada. We need people who are fans of the series to combat that, because what we're trying to do is have the series for the very first time. I'm taking something from my personal channel, DSPGaming, and I'm trying to branch it out for more mainstream audiences. And so I'm hoping that this would be the way, you show the trailer, you'll hook interest of people, and they'll either come over to DSPGaming and check it out, or maybe they'll just wait for the series to air on Machinima Respawn, because episodes 1 through 4 are going to air on Machinima Respawn. So, if you like the series, please, on Sunday, head over there. It doesn't have to be 9 o'clock on the dot, as long as once it's over there, you head over there, watch it, comment. If you see assholes leaving negative, oh, this sucks, this is fucking stupid, it's not Call of Duty, flag that shit for spam, get those fucking comments off the video. I really would love to see if we as a community, and I called it the hate army, okay? I've said a couple years back, that's kind of what I thought it would be a cool idea to name my fans. I know it does, when you say that, it kind of sounds like it has a negative association. It really doesn't. It's not about hate. It's the hate army because I'm the king of hate, and as you know, it's not because I just hate on people nonstop. That's not how I got the name. So, if the hate army could go over there and do what they can to make the video as positive of an experience as possible, and to destroy all those asshole trolls who we're just going to fucking shit all over it because it's not Call of Duty footage, it would be awesome. And then, hopefully, if the trailer does well, when the series actually airs, it'll do well as well. The thing is, I'm fully aware that there's going to be flaming no matter what. My thing is, if it goes up over there and one person becomes a fan of the series, I've got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? That's one extra person. What is gonna happen as a because I upload my stuff over there if people don't like it? Nothing. I'm gonna get extra views. Even if fucking assholes come over to my channels to troll, it's an extra view. It's an extra comment. You know what I mean? I still get credit for it. So that's coming on Sunday. I'm gonna be mentioning it every single day until Sunday. So please check it out. Okay, now on to the questions, because I have lots of them, and I've already wasted like 3 minutes, I believe. Oh, I wasted 5 minutes. That's great. First question. Hello, Phil. As of late 2011 and 2012, it seems a lot of gamers are systematically getting unhappier with the current originality of games. Of course, there's some exceptions, but I really noticed that the skepticism to games such as Black Ops 2 and other long-lasting series are growing drastically. What is your opinion about the current originality in games? Do you think games should have some sort of another year like 2007 when you had Call of Duty 4, Assassin's Creed premiered, Crysis, Bioshock, Mass Effect? They all came out that year, and it was like a revolution in gaming, and that's from Seventh Rest. Here's the problem, and I've talked about this in videos before, so I'm going to make this a short answer. When there's a bad economy, when people don't have a lot of money to spend, these companies don't like to take risks, because they're afraid that if they throw a whole bunch of money and resources into a new game or a new genre or a new IP, and people are afraid to spend their dollar on that because they're not sure what to expect from it, it's going to flop. Some cases in point. Shadows of the Damned. Really great game, fun as hell, new IP, failed miserably. No one bought the damn game because people were afraid at the time. That was the economy had turned. They didn't know what to expect from it. They were like, oh, Suda, you know, Suda Studios, or I'm sorry, I know that Suda 41 or 51, I forget, is actually the name of a guy. Why the hell he calls himself a number, I have no idea. But they're all like, another game that's quirky, it's from this guy, we don't know if we want to take the chance on it. It's scary because you see games that are really original that go under the radar, and it pisses me off. Another one, Binary Domain, earlier this year, attempted to combine Gears of War 3 with RPG elements and a big branching role-playing game story like Mass Effect. It was a perfect combination of a lot of these elements. No one bought the game. It was a great fucking game. In fact, it's one of my favorite games of the year, but nobody fucking played it. It's annoying that people are not taking chances on new IPs anymore. And so, as long as people are in a situation where they don't have a lot of money to spend, they're going to go back to what they know are the staple favorites. They know that once a year there's going to be a Call of Duty game. It's going to play just like the previous Call of Duty. It's going to have a similar epic-style campaign like the previous Call of Duties. They know the multiplayer is going to be at least fun for a couple months. And so they're going to spend their $60 on that game every single year, as opposed to a new IP where you have no idea what you're to expect. You might be hit or miss. You know, you might not have friends who are going to buy that game, so it's not as good of an experience. I really think that studios do need to start taking chances at this point, because we got too many washed-up series. Assassin's Creed is now Assassin's Creed 3, but look at it. It's like the 5th game in the series now. It's ridiculous. You got Call of Duty, which is just played out. All these generic FPS games are played out. You got fucking Street Fighter, which is coming out with 72 versions and DLCs of every single game, just to suck money out of the consumer. We need new stuff. We're dried out, and it's sad because he brought up a good point. In 2007, that was like the year when really the new generation of consoles picked up. That's the 360 and the PS3. Everything picked up. All of a sudden, there were all these amazing new releases. I believe that was also the year the Super Mario Galaxy came out for the Wii. So it was like, wow, I can't believe this is really the next generation of gaming. And then since then, it's just been more and more of the same stuff coming out, and it's very disappointing. So I see why it's happening. I understand from a business and marketing perspective, but the creativity needs to continue, or else these business models are going to fail. This is what happens in business. People say, well, this is the moneymaker, we're just going to keep making the moneymaker. But if you don't take the time to take some of the money you made on the moneymaker and invest it into something new, what's going to be the next big moneymaker? What you put out every year is going to become stale and sell less and less. You need something to take its place. You can't just focus everything on the old same series. That's my feeling. Okay, next question. You previously mentioned that as a child your dad played video games with you. I'm wondering if in his free time does he ever dabble in your content that may interest him, or has he moved on from video games? On a side note, does your mom ever watch your content? There's also another question, so first let me answer those questions. No, my dad's never really been into video games. The only time he really was into video games is that he would play a couple Atari games or whatever with me. Like I said, you know, when I got home from school before he went to work, because he worked the night shift, he would play for like maybe a half hour, 45 minutes before dinner. We would play games together. But no, both he and my mom have never been into video games. They're really not into them whatsoever. They don't understand them. And even though, yes, I have so many videos on the internet, no, they don't watch them because they don't understand video games. They don't know what's going on. If I were to show them a competitive match of me playing Street Fighter, they'd be like what on earth am I watching? So no, unfortunately that is one thing, even though video games have been like a major focus in my life, my hobby and now my occupation, it's never really been a part of my parents' life. Just honest answer. The second part of the question is, also at the time I'm typing this, your father is still unemployed and I sincerely wish him good fortune in the future. Thank you for that. Maybe he should eat at the Chinese restaurant where you received your fortune of financial troubles are coming to an end. And that's from Solid Fantasy. Yeah, it is unfortunate. Yeah, my dad is still unemployed. Just to give a quick update to everyone, he is applying for different jobs. No, they're nothing like what he was doing in his industry. I mean, he's applied to such so wide as store detective for Stop and Shop, a new solar panel company that's a new Kickstarter, or not Kickstarter, but a new company that's just starting up. He did one or two other things as well, so he's applying to anything and everything out there that at least could pay him something so that he has some income. Obviously, I'll keep everyone in the loop on that. Right now, everything's kind of uneasy. It's still kind of fresh. It hasn't even been a month yet, so it's still kind of fresh in everyone's mind that this has happened. It's unfortunate that he got laid off after 35 years of working at the same job, but we'll see what happens. Worked out for me, right? Next question. Phil, what was your experience when you had your first sip of alcohol? Any funny stories? And that's from Bart Flyer. Well, my very first sip of alcohol happened when I was very young. I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and my dad was doing yard work and having a beer, you know, a couple beers during the yard work. And we both sat on the front porch, and I was looking at the beer like, oh gee, I wonder what that is. And my dad said, here you go, son, have a sip. I said, wow, really? He's like, yeah, have a sip. I took one sip, and it was so fucking disgusting, I spit it as far as I could into the street. And he laughed and he said, that'll be your lesson, son, don't drink until, you know, you're of age. Of course, what I didn't realize is that he was drinking classic Budweiser beer, which in my opinion is one of the most disgusting beers ever made. I don't understand how people drink it. It tastes like piss compared to some of the better beers I've had. If he had given me something like a Blue Moon, or, you know, even a Guinness, something that's completely different than Budweiser, maybe it would have been a different effect. But I think it's kind of funny that just a way to teach me not to drink, he actually let me drink, and I hated it, and because of that, I didn't drink until much, much later in my life. Alright, next question. Would you ever consider answering fan-sent questions about wrestling on your Smark Guys show? Kind of like a tiny Ask the King, and that's from Caseman23. Interesting question. This is something that John Rambo and I considered we may do a long time ago. Keep in mind, we've been doing Smark Guys now. Shit, man, it's almost the 2-year anniversary, okay? Smark Guys, for those who don't know, is our wrestling commentary show that we do every single Saturday when John comes over to do co-op gameplay, and that goes over on his channel, John Rambo Presents. Here's the issue. Just between us talking about the weekly wrestling shows, we fill up a half hour. And so it's hard for us to actually even contain the show within a half hour, and we don't want the show to become a bloated hour-long show every single week. For example, John Rambo's podcast, the show, is almost 2 hours every week. That's because he does things like fan comments, fan questions every single week. And we don't want the show to become that. It's a visual medium. It's the two of us talking about wrestling. It's not an audio show. And so we want to keep it like that. If there were a way for us to fit the questions in and not go like an hour on the show, we probably would. But as of now, we don't realistically see any way to do that. So that's the reason why we don't do it. I'll actually talk to John about it this weekend and see what he thinks. Okay? The next one. Hey Phil, I was wondering if you ever thought about going to WrestleMania Fan Axxess in April, which is being held in New Jersey. The reason why I ask is because I'm sure some of your fans who like wrestling would love to see the King of Hate meeting someone like CM Punk or Chris Jericho. And that's from Mitchie Assassin 101. Great point. We've actually talked about this on Smark Guys a couple times, but I guess it's cool to mention it over here, you know, outside of the Smark Guys wrestling show as well. There's a chance that John and I will be attending WrestleMania next year because it's in New Jersey, plus Fan Axxess, plus because WrestleMania is in New Jersey, traditionally whatever town WrestleMania is in, all around it there's indie wrestling shows and things going on that weekend. So there's a strong chance that John and I will be attending that stuff and giving you video coverage of it. More on that as it approaches. I don't believe the tickets or anything are even on sale yet, so we can't tell you for sure whether or not we'll be able to do that, but it's definitely something we're looking forward to do in April of next year. Alright, next one. I think some of your gameplay footage of retro games is awesome, but would you ever consider putting up footage of retro fighting games? I would like to see DSP Street Fighter become more active. Thanks for your time. That's Zen Child. You know, a lot of people have been saying to me, Phil, we're kind of disappointed. You know, we became fans of you. Oops, I accidentally stopped my timer. We became fans of you through your Street Fighter footage, which was huge back in, like, you know, 2008, 2009, which is true. Back then when Street Fighter 4 was released, that was a main focus of what I was doing in a lot of ways. And now people are disappointed because I'm not doing a lot of fighting game footage. Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, simply put, not a lot of fighting games have been coming out. You had Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which I did cover the Street Fighter side. I wasn't so much interested in the Tekken side because it was basically taking Tekken characters and putting them into a Street Fighter game where they fight nothing like they do in the Tekken games. I didn't really like the way that happened, the way that they integrated. It didn't feel right. It felt weird for me. I haven't played a lot of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 simply because I think the game's awful. I'm very disappointed compared to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think in a competitive setting the game is quite honestly balls because it is pretty much one-hit instant kills because of the long-ass combos and bullshit that they put into the game. It's funny because back when I was a competitive gamer, that stuff was looked down upon. People hated the fact that you could get one-hit kills. Now all of a sudden it's like common in every game and people are like, oh, we love it. Like, that just shows how mentality of the competitive scene can change within a decade. But bottom line is, not a lot of games have been coming out. The ones that have come out, I haven't really enjoyed. I did enjoy Street Fighter 4 when it came out. I don't even think that any of the games that have come out since then are as good as the original Street Fighter 4, okay? That being said, there are new games coming out. Persona 4 comes out, Persona 4 Arena comes out in August. You got Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and you've got Dead or Alive 5 in September. I will be playing those, and depending on how much I like them, I may do extensive coverage of them. In addition to that, this guy is asking, what about classic fighters? Well, here's the thing. Problem is, a lot of the classic fighting games that I played don't have modern console versions, and I don't have the older versions of them. So, for example, a game that everyone's been clamoring for and asking for is Capcom vs. SNK 2 to be released on modern consoles, like an HD remake, or even a re-release like they did with Third Strike last year. I love CVS 2. It is a frustrating game because it's not very balanced, but I played it competitively. I wasn't amazing at it, but at the end of its competitive run, I was actually getting pretty good at it, and then it just kind of fell off. And a lot of the people are saying this is one of the big four. Back when fighting games were at their height of competitiveness, you had the big four. You had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Capcom vs. SNK 2, and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Those were the big four that if you went to a major fighting game tournament, for like, it was running like 5 to 6 to 7 years straight, those were the four games that you played. And so, that's like the biggest request right now, to bring back that game and have it released on modern consoles. If they ever do that, I'll definitely play it. What I can tell you is this. Coming up, I believe in September, they are re-releasing Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom. They're remaking them, even though they're not really remaking them. They're saying it's a remake. It's not. It's just going to be pixely, just like the other, like Marvel 2 was. But they're coming out on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. I will be checking those out. Those are actually two of the games that I grew up with in the fighting game scene. I am actually ranked 5th in the world at Marvel vs. Capcom. I went to the final national tournament that they had for it. It was an invitational only. I got in, and I got 5th place. So, and the Japanese were there too, and we whooped their asses. They weren't good at that game. So, I'm actually ranked 5th in the world. I love Marvel vs. Capcom 1. That's definitely what I'm going to be playing competitively, like online. I'll play matches online. I'll do that. Of course, I'm sure the online play is going to be horrendous, and I'll laugh at it. But I'm actually extremely good at that game, so I'm looking forward to that to come out. Marvel Superheroes, I'm good at. I'm not amazing at, but that game is so broken. I can't wait for people to see how broken that game is. That was the game of get hit once, infinite, you lose. That's the game was the game where that kind of happened and it erupted, and people realized that that's kind of broken gameplay. So I will be checking those out. If there were more modern versions of the older fighters, I would play them, like for example the Street Fighter Alpha series. Problem is there haven't been any re-releases of those games, so until they happen, I can't play them. But thanks then, Child, for the comment. Alright, next comment. Phil, earlier this year you purchased some graphic novels from the Secret Stash. It's Kevin Smith's comic book store in New Jersey. I was wondering if you've finished reading them, and if so, what are your thoughts and opinions on them? That's from Miami fan Ryan. Absolutely, I read all of them, first of all. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think it was the anthology issues 1 to 10. Really odd, so different from what the Turtles became in the 90s when the cartoon became popular, when the movies came out. It's interesting to see their origins and how they're gritty. There's actually blood and stuff in these comics. But I don't know if it was more of a peculiarity for me rather than anything that I thought was awesome. I don't know. I'm kind of weirded out by it because it doesn't seem that this is a case where the source content doesn't really match up with what the content became when it hit mainstream, and it feels weird to me. I bought Batman The Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, and Batman Haunted... It's right here, actually. Haunted Night. Now, these are all of the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale collaboration comic runs for Batman. Fucking amazing. Long Halloween, one of the best comic series I've ever read in my life. Dark Victory, good, not as good as Long Halloween, but still pretty good. I think these guys are an amazing team, and I think that those are some of the classic Batman stories. I loved reading them. I also got The Kingdom, which is supposed to be like a continuation of Kingdom Come. That was okay. I got Final Crisis. That was stupid and awful. I hated Final Crisis. I think a lot of people hated all those Crisis things that happened with DC, except for the original. Remember the original one, Crisis on Infinite Earths? People liked that. After that, they just got all overblown. And then when they fucked up, let me put it this way. You know Final Crisis was bad because they fucked up the DC universe so bad that within a year or two, they rebooted the whole thing, and now everything's changed. So, you can tell when you fuck up. And the last comic that I got was one of the Kevin Smith, the first Batman story that Kevin Smith ever wrote. I thought it was okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was still interesting, and I liked it for what it was. So yeah, I read them all, and I enjoyed them all. Oh, I still have time for some more questions, so let's keep going. Next question. Hey, Phil, any chance of doing a second Fallout 3 playthrough? It would be interesting to see how much, you come basically full circle after that being one of your first playthroughs. That's from Brad. Interesting point, Brad. This is something that I kind of want to announce to everyone. I had this idea. At some point, when I get downtime, so as you saw, this year, I had a lot of downtime. This month especially, there's been no new releases. What I'm going to do, rather than doing all these marathons and stuff that I did this month, I'm going to mix it up next time I have downtime. I'm going to start to re-experience some of the games that people have said are my best playthroughs, or incomplete playthroughs that people really enjoyed. So, for example, Spider-Man Web of Shadows was not a full playthrough. It's one of the first games I played on my original Dark Side Phil channel, but I did not do a full playthrough. I only recorded some of the parts that I thought were the best. Dead Space 1, same thing. Did not do a full playthrough. What I did was I played through the game and recorded the stuff that I thought was the scariest or the coolest. I didn't do a full playthrough. Keep in mind, when I played those games, I didn't even have an HD camera. I was filming with a standard definition camera on my widescreen TV sideways. The video footage looks awful. Fallout 3, same situation. So what I'm thinking of doing is at some point, if I have downtime, going back and replaying some of those games that were some of my originals that people think are their favorites. And then on the flip side of that, some of the games that people think are some of the best playthroughs I've ever done, such as Heavy Rain. Why not do a second playthrough of Heavy Rain where I do things differently, and maybe some people die or whatever, or we try to get a different outcome? I think that would be neat. So, I think that's cool. It would be like DSP revisits or DSP redoes it. I don't know what it would be called. If people could think of a cool snazzy name, but maybe DSP do-overs. I don't know, but some of those games I think would be neat to replay them. Here I am now, years later. Now it's not 2008. Now it's 2012. 2013. Whenever I get to play them, years later I get to replay these games. And now that I'm a pro, I'll say pro gamer, but my job is gaming. See how I do at them now that I've been doing this for so long. That would be pretty neat. Alright, one more question, I think, and then we're going to end this part. A lot of people are asking me about Kingdom Hearts, because I guess there's a Kingdom Hearts game being released for the Nintendo 3DS. People ask me, what are your thoughts? Have you ever played the games? The answer, quite honestly, is no. I have never played a Kingdom Hearts game, because those games came out during that era of, late PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, when I wasn't playing games. I was only playing competitive Street Fighter. So I did not play them. I have never played them. I've never experienced them. All I know about them is what I've read in gaming magazines. So unfortunately, that's the case. Will I ever play them? There's a possibility. I'm going to do one more question. I can fit it in. Here we go. Hey Phil, the new producer of Street Fighter Cross Tekken is releasing the 12 DLC characters on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network on July 31st because the fans demanded it. Now originally those characters were going to be released late this year, but now he bumped it up. You mentioned in your calendar update that the last week of July has no major releases, so I'm wondering, why don't you try out the 12 new characters sometime during that week? I think your fans who subscribe to your fighting game channel would love to see you try them out, and that's from Ranzer SSF4. Quite honestly, Ranzer, I'm going to put it very bluntly. I've been a very, very critical or I've been a very strong critic of Capcom over the past year. I think they've made a lot of bad business decisions. One of the hugest things that they've done that they fucked up on was on-disc DLC and or DLC content that should have been included in their games. For example, Azura's Wrath not actually having the real ending unless you pay for a DLC. Dragon's Dogma having like 100 DLC missions already on the disc. Street Fighter Cross Tekken having 12 full fucking characters on the disc, but you have to pay to unlock them. So this is content that was all developed before the games came out retail, and then they decided to make you pay for it later to try to make extra money. Bottom line is this: I completely disagree with this practice. I will not support it. I will not be purchasing those 12 characters. Capcom can shove it. If they really cared about what the fans wanted, they should have just released them and said, alright, we fucked up. Here's our way of saying, listen, we understand we fucked up and we want to make up for it. You can have the 12 characters and we won't do this kind of stuff anymore. That's not what they did. Now they announced, oh, they're coming out earlier, but you still pay for them? Fuck you, Capcom. If you're going to make new games like Resident Evil 6, then I'll support you. I'll buy your new games. But fuck you, I am not supporting this bullshit practice of you trying to milk out more money from your customers who already paid $60 for the full game and you didn't give them the full game. Go to hell. I'm not buying those fucking DLC characters. You can suck my fucking dick. Okay, so that's it for part 1 of Ask the King. I will come back with even more questions. Like I said, I've got a significant amount of Twitter and Facebook questions to answer this time around, and some hot topics that people have wanted to ask me. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.